You wake up. It's 6:17 a.m. Your alarm goes off, and for about 3 seconds, you forget who you are. Then it hits you. The commute, the emails, the meetings that could have been emails, the job you don't hate but definitely don't love. And here's the weird part. You're not broke. You've got some savings. Your 401k is growing. Your salary is decent, but you still feel trapped. Like you're renting your own life. And the goal you've been chasing on that massive net worth somehow doesn't feel like it's buying you freedom fast enough. Here's the uncomfortable question. What if building a huge net worth isn't the real goal? What if the real game is buying time? And most people are playing it backwards. My name is Grant, and I spend way too much time thinking about money, power, and the way financial systems shape our freedom. If you're someone who earns decent money but still feels like you don't actually control your time, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Because today, we're going to challenge one of the most dangerous financial assumptions of our time, that the path to freedom is maximizing your net worth. Look, net worth matters. I'm not anti-wealth. But here's what most people don't realize. Freedom doesn't come from how much money you have. It comes from how much time you control. And history proves it. Here's the thing. We've been trained to think like medieval kings. In feudal Europe, power meant land. The more land you owned, the more wealth, influence, and control you had. Fast forward to today. Land has been replaced with net worth. We obsess over $1 million, $5 million, $10 million. We scroll through social media watching 28-year-olds talk about hitting $3.7 million in assets like it's a video game achievement. But ask yourself, if someone has $5 million but works 70 hours a week running 3 businesses they can't step away from, are they actually free? Now, compare that to someone with $750,000 invested, living modestly, covering their expenses with passive income, working part-time by choice. Who has more power? Historically, the answer has always been the same. It's not the richest person who wins. It's the person who controls their time. Let's go back to ancient Rome. There were wealthy senators worth what would today be hundreds of millions, massive estates, political influence, armies of servants, but many of them were politically trapped. One wrong alliance, one misstep, and they were exiled, stripped of assets, or executed. Now consider something interesting. Some freedmen, former slaves who bought their freedom, accumulated moderate wealth through trade. They weren't at the top, but they controlled their schedule. They could relocate. They weren't entangled in elite political games. Their wealth wasn't astronomical, but their autonomy was. And in unstable times, autonomy beats raw wealth. History of money, power, and freedom. That's the pattern. Power follows control of time and decision-making, not just asset size. Now let's get practical. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, the average American works about 1,800 hours per year. That's roughly 75,000 hours over a 40-year career. 75,000 hours. Now imagine you earn $100,000 per year. Sounds solid. But divide that by 1,800 hours. You're making about $55 per hour. Now subtract commuting, unpaid overtime, mental load, weekend recovery time. Your real hourly rate drops, maybe to $40. Now here's where it gets interesting. If your annual expenses are $60,000, you don't need $5 million to be free. Using the 4% rule, you'd need $60,000 divided by 0.04 equals $1.5 million, not $10 million, not $25 million. $1.5 million. That's still significant, but it's a radically different target. Here's what most people don't realize. Every dollar that reduces your required annual expenses lowers your freedom number, If you can live comfortably on $45,000, now you need $1.125 million. That's a 25% reduction in your required net worth. Just by adjusting lifestyle expectations, time freedom is cheaper than ego wealth. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but more money is always better, right? Not necessarily. Psychologists call this hedonic adaptation. According to research from Princeton University, emotional well-being plateaus around a certain income level. Beyond that, more money increases life evaluation, how you rate your life, but not daily happiness in the same way. What does that mean? It means after your needs and basic comfort are met. The next million doesn't buy proportional happiness. But here's what it does buy. Lifestyle inflation, bigger house, bigger car payment, private school tuition, more financial obligations, which raises your annual burn rate, which raises your required net worth, which delays your freedom. It's a treadmill, and the faster you run, the longer it takes to get off. Let me show you something counterintuitive. Person A makes $200,000 per year, spends $180,000, saves $20,000. Person B makes $90,000 per year, spends $45,000, saves $45,000. Who builds time freedom faster? Person B, because freedom isn't about income. It's about the gap between income and expenses. If person B invests $45,000 annually at a 7% average return, in 15 years they'll have roughly $1.1 million. At that point, using the 4% rule, they could generate around $44,000 per year, covering their lifestyle. They bought time in 15 years. Person A, at $20,000 per year invested, same return, 15 years yields about $490,000, not even close. Higher income, lower freedom velocity. This is where it gets really interesting. The person with the smaller ego lifestyle wins the time game. In every historical era, time has been the ultimate currency. In the Industrial Revolution, factory owners didn't just accumulate capital, they controlled labor time. Today, corporations don't just want your productivity, they want your attention, your time, your focus. That's why companies like Netflix, TikTok, and Meta measure engagement in minutes watched, because time is the scarce asset. And yet, individuals trade it cheaply. We'll work 60-hour weeks to upgrade from a $40,000 car to a $70,000 car. That's not a financial decision. That's a psychological one. Often driven by status comparison. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Many financial goals are social, not strategic. Ask yourself honestly, if no one could see your house, car, watch, or vacation photos, would you still want them? Or are you trading years of life for external validation? Now you might be thinking, okay, Grant, but having a huge net worth gives you options. Yes, absolutely. But only if it's liquid, flexible, and not tied to your active labor. There's a difference between owning a business that collapses if you stop working, owning diversified assets that pay you regardless. One is leveraged employment, the other is time ownership. History shows this clearly. In monarchies, nobles tied to court had wealth, but limited autonomy. Merchants with movable capital had mobility. Mobility is power, liquidity is power, time control is power. Net worth without autonomy is fragile. Instead of obsessing over net worth, calculate this. Freedom ratio equals passive income divided by annual expenses. If your passive income is $10,000 per year and your expenses are $50,000, your freedom ratio is 20%. That means 20% of your life is financially independent. That's progress. Track that. Grow that. Because every 10% increase represents reclaimed time. This shifts the psychology. Instead of I need $5 million, it becomes I need to increase my freedom ratio. That feels achievable and measurable. Let's make this actionable. Step 1. Cap your lifestyle. Early. If you're earning more this year than last year, do not upgrade everything. Upgrade selectively. Lock in a sustainable lifestyle and let income growth widen the gap. The earlier you cap lifestyle inflation, the earlier you accelerate freedom. Step 2. Automate asset building. Low-cost index funds. Broad market ETFs. Rental property if it's truly passive and cash flowing. According to Vanguard data, the average long-term stock market return hovers around 7 to 10% before inflation over extended periods. You don't need genius-level investing. You need consistency. Step 3. Increase income strategically. Not emotionally. Increase income when it improves your savings rate, skill leverage, optionality, not when it traps you deeper. A higher paying job that doubles stress and time commitment may reduce long-term freedom. Calculate the real trade-off. Step 4. Design a time buffer. Aim for 12 to 24 months of living expenses and accessible assets. This buffer alone changes your psychology at work. You negotiate differently. You tolerate less nonsense. You're less afraid. Money buys confidence before it buys retirement. Here's what most people don't realize. The moment you know you could walk away for a year, your relationship with money changes. You stop acting from fear. You start acting from choice. That shift alone often increases income and opportunity, because desperate energy repels leverage. Confident autonomy attracts it. In history, free citizens had negotiating power. Serfs didn't. Buying time turns you into a free agent, even before you're technically financially independent. There's a silent danger in chasing enormous numbers. You postpone life. I'll relax when I hit $2 million. I'll travel when I hit $5 million. I'll slow down when I exit. But here's the reality. Health declines, energy changes, relationships evolve, time is perishable. A study from the Bureau of Labor Statistics shows that Americans over 65 spend significantly more time on leisure, but often with lower physical capacity than in midlife. What's the point of unlimited free time at 70 if you sacrificed vitality at 35? Buying time earlier creates compounding life returns, not just financial returns. Throughout history, real power wasn't about gold, it was about optionality. The ability to say no, the ability to relocate, the ability to disengage from systems that no longer serve you. In authoritarian regimes, even wealthy individuals can lose everything overnight. But those with portable capital and minimal obligations adapt fastest. Small, flexible wealth often beats large, rigid wealth. Freedom beats flash. Let's reframe this completely. Instead of asking, how do I get rich? Ask, how do I reduce the number of years I must sell my time? Because every year you buy back is a year you control. Imagine being 42 and working because you want to, not because you have to. Imagine negotiating from strength. Imagine building projects that matter to you, not just those that pay the most. That's power. That's freedom. That's the real history of money. Money has always been a tool to shift power structures. Use it to shift yours. Look, I'm not telling you to shrink your ambition. Build wealth, build assets, build skills, but build them with a purpose. The goal isn't the biggest number on a spreadsheet. It's ownership of your days. Because at the end of your life, no one cares what your net worth was. They care how you lived, and you will care how much of it was truly yours. So here's your action step. Tonight, calculate your freedom ratio. Estimate your freedom number. And ask yourself honestly, am I building a bigger cage, or am I buying back my time? If this shifted your perspective, subscribe to History of Money, Power, and Freedom. Because we're not just talking about getting rich. We're talking about understanding how money has shaped power for centuries and how you can use it to shape your own freedom. I'll see you in the next one.